Okay, so I'm just going to welcome everybody right now to this session of the Ottawa Public Library's Tech Cafe, which is a series of presentations on computer and technology topics designed to increase your knowledge and stimulate your interest in technology. This presentation is called Connecting with Friends and Coworkers Using Your iPhone or iPad, and it'll be presented by David Rostenne and Thomas Leroux from ByMUG, the Bytown MAC Users Group. David and Thomas have been the organizers of ByMUG since 2006. They are experts in using Apple products and have both been technology consultants for 2 decades, primarily focused on Apple-based solutions. They will be talking about connecting with people through video and audio calls as well as text chat. They will do live demos of Apple's Facetime and messaging, as well as a small selection of other communication apps, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. For more information about ByMUG, please visit their website at bymug.ca. Before I turn the session over to David and Tom, I'd like to let you know that this is a Zoom webinar, so you have all been muted to allow for best sound quality. You will not be able to unmute yourselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat window at the bottom of the screen. And as my colleague has said, before posting a chat, please remember to change the chat setting to all panelists and attendees so that others can see your question and may benefit from any answers. So thank you very much for attending this online program. And I'll now turn this session over to David and Tom.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please put them directly in the chat. You can put it to all panelists. That way, Jill or Shayna can interrupt me and let me know you have a question. As well, so the idea is that we're going to go until about 11 o'clock, and then there's another half an hour after that where we can actually go through and cover questions, whatever we have available. So first things first, the idea here was that we're going to cover a bunch of applications that people are using to do video, audio, and text chat. So on the iPhone, which is what you've got on the screen right now, that's my iPhone, you'll see this guy, this green guy here up the top is Messages. We also have Zoom, which is what we're using to do this Tech Cafe. We have Skype and Google Hangouts. So those are the ones that we're going to look over today. Now, the first thing we were thinking to ourselves is, well, you know, the whole purpose of doing this is because of the craziness that has happened in the last couple of months with this virus. And, you know, we want to be able to socialize, but we can't really do it in person. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but we're all working through this. And one of the things that Tom's story, which I will cover, is that he's actually found that he is seeing and talking to his family more now than he was before COVID happened. Because before that, I mean, everybody would get together. They all live in all over Ontario and Quebec, and they would get together very infrequently. And now they're actually seeing each other more often. So there's some positive things coming out of this. And in his case, he's had 15 or 16 people joining in on a bi-weekly Zoom call. And what they do is they actually actively work towards having a topic for a call. So one example that he gave me was that everybody has to bring a list of their favorite movies. And the whole purpose of this is that you don't want to have a call with just sort of get together and then try and see where it goes. It's not a casual chat. It's you know, give yourselves an agenda, and this will make your call that much more pleasant because everybody knows what's going on. We have a couple of things that we want to recommend for when you're making calls. So first thing, for example, you'll see that I'm wearing headphones. Headphones make a huge difference when you're making a call. Now, why do they make a difference? Well, they isolate the sound. So this means that I'm not playing it on a speaker. I'm not annoying other people. I'm not having to crank the volume up. All of these things make a difference. If you have, for example, Apple AirPods, These will also work great for making calls through your iPad or your iPhone, or the regular Apple headphones will do the job perfectly. This also means that when you're doing a video call, you can hold your phone further out and people can still hear you and see you perfectly. Okay? Holding the phone, we don't actually recommend it. Get yourself a stand. I'm going to reach over here onto my bookshelf. And so what I have over here is I have a little mini tripod. Now this one does not actually have an iPhone mount on it, but I'm going to be finding one. And basically what I can do then is I can take my iPhone and, oh yeah, you can't, maybe you can see my video, and I can just mount it on, where's my camera? Here. And I can mount it on here, and then it can sit and it won't move. So you end up with a very nice and stable video call. So that makes it really good for other people. Now you could be really simple and you could just lean it up against your desk, okay? Or put it in your lap or whatever. Do that because it'll make things much nicer for people. Lighting, you'll notice that I'm a little bit backlit here. I actually have, let me turn off my screen share for a second so you can actually see me. So I actually have blinds behind me, and these are awful because if I actually open the blinds, you'll see that I completely go out of focus and it's horrible. So be careful when you're doing your lighting. You want to have good lighting in front of you. If you have a lamp, for example, that you can turn on and you can point it towards you, you'll see this. This is a little bit much because this light is really bright, but it offsets the light coming from behind me. So, you know, realistically, all you need to do is put yourself in a situation where you have a slightly darker background behind you and you have decent lighting in front of you. Don't stand in front of a window, okay? Video call fatigue. So we've all heard the term Zoom fatigue. This is actually a real thing, and it exists because when you're on a call, on a video call, people don't actually get to see all of the extra cues. So normally when I'm in a call, again, I gotta stop sharing my thing. So I'm on a call, you can see my head. You don't see my hands, right? So I have to come way back. You don't see the rest of my body. You don't see the posture. You don't see those subtle little movements to tell you I'm irritated or I'm tired or I'm annoyed. And this is what causes Zoom fatigue. You're really focusing in on the screen, and you'll notice I'm looking down, not directly into the camera. So all of these things will affect your calls, and you kind of have to be aware of them. So give people the opportunity to take breaks. You know, we should take a break at about 11 o'clock for a few minutes and just give everybody a chance to walk away from the screen, look at other things, and you know, go from there. So for me, for example, I try not to schedule calls that are more than an hour and a half, because everybody just gets tired because they're all focusing so hard on the screen. So again, think about that when you're doing your calls. I've mentioned body language cues. So right now I'm actually standing in front of my computer. I have a standing desk and it makes it great. If I'm sitting down, people are gonna get scrunched in, you breathe funny, and that makes it really tough to be very relaxed and casual on a call. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Dave, I mean, this is like 5 million things I have to remember. Don't worry about it, okay? One of the things that Tom and I have been going over when we teach workshops and classes is that we want you to be aware of these things. So the next time you're doing a call and you're talking to people and you realize that you've scrunched yourself into a chair, that realization is what we're looking for. Is we're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't do that. There's a better way to do this, okay? Don't agonize over it. You'll get better at it. I have been doing these types of workshops in live one-on-one and to a group, as Shana said, since 2006. So we've done these like 100-something times. So we're good at it. All right, so let me just look at my notes here. I've gone through pretty much everything that we want to talk about. these are all the different kinds of etiquette that we want you to think about when you're making a call. How can you make the call better? The more time you spend on these little things, the quality of the call, how you're communicating, how you're presenting yourself, having an agenda, maybe having notes if you're doing an actual meeting, like I have right in front of me. All these things are going to make your call better. Okay, there's nothing worse than starting a call and not knowing what's going to happen next, because you don't know what's going to happen next. All right, so now that we've gotten through the sort of this basic idea of how to make a call better, let's jump straight into the various apps. Okay. So I'm going to start with messages. And let me just, I have to actually pick up my cell phone here. So you'll see that in Apple Messages, I actually have 3 new messages. And I'm going to say, hi, Tom, from all of us in the meeting. So Apple Messages is the built-in one with your iPhone and your iPad, and it's also on the Mac. And it's very simple to use. I mean, you've got your keyboard here, you type, you hit, you hit return, and it sends a message, okay? We can do emojis. So we can send emojis to Tom. We can go in and we can send photos to Tom. So let's just take a photograph here of my desk, my very messy desk. Photo, perfect, send it, okay. And those are my notes. So if you zoom in, you can actually read my notes. And I can go in and send, how's my awesome desk, okay. So as you can see, I mean, this is nice and simple to use. And this is the core of how all of the messaging apps work. They're all based around this idea of being able to, type at people. I'm just trying to find the notes here, so the chat, so that I can actually see if anybody has questions. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you. Yes, the chat icon only shows up in certain places. Yes, it does. Okay. Move that out of the way. So the whole objective here is that now Tom and I are communicating. I can send him a bit of an audio message by clicking on this little audio here. Hi, Tom. This is a lot of fun. I was really hoping not have to do this by myself, but it happens. And send it off. Hey, go. Okay. Oh, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Try that again. Hi, Tom. Send it. Okay, so this is a little audio clip that you can send off. So if you find you have difficulty typing, you can send audio clips. There's another really nice option in here. There's this little microphone. So I can hit the microphone. Come on. And now I can dictate text into my device. So the reason I'm showing you these different things is to give you the understanding that that's correct. So somebody's asking, I have text on my cell phone. Why am I unable to send photos? So you'll notice that the text on here is blue. So blue text goes through Apple Messages. Green text goes through the regular cell phone service. So there's going to be different protocols. And if you can't send images, there's a bunch of reasons you can't. But if you don't have data on your phone, that's the #1 reason. You can actually, so that's Marion, try turning on data and then send a photo. It should actually work because it uses that functionality to send photos, but won't actually use your data. It's complicated. So one of the fun things, so we can have a whole bunch of fun in here, okay? So you can play with all these different things. You saw Tom's image back up here, his head. So that's called a Memoji. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do. But realistically, you know, we just want to go and we're going to want to do a video call with Tom. I'm going to mute myself here because or else we're going to hear ourselves like 3 times. Hi, Tom. It's unfortunate you couldn't join us in the meeting because I screwed up, but at least you get to participate at a distance. Yeah, I know. All right, I'm going to hang up on you now and I'm going to keep going. Bye. So that was Tom. You guys actually get to see him. We've done so many demos over the years. We just have to laugh about this. So this is the basics. I mean, we've sent a text, we've sent a, you know, done a video message, we've done a little audio message, we've done a little bit of these different things. And those are the basics. So let me jump back a little bit and we'll get a little more technical now that you have a sort of an idea of what's going on. So on my screen, underneath the blue message that says, and now I can dictate text, you'll see it was read at 10:24. So these are called read receipts. Okay, these are super nice because now you can tell that the person at the other end is reading your messages. They'll say delivered and then they'll say read. Okay, so this is an important part of keeping track of a conversation. So I highly recommend you turn them on. So let's go look at a couple of things in the settings here. So I'm going into my settings app. Okay. And I'm going to go down here to, where are we? So we have messages. Okay, so this is iMessage that we're looking at right now. Now I'm going to go over these. I don't expect you to take notes. I don't expect you to memorize any of these things. I expect you to say, oh, okay, so now I remember seeing this. And if I have a problem or if I'm thinking about it, I will go back and have a second look, okay? So one of the things that I do is I make sure that my phone and my email are in here as addresses I can send and receive to. And I always start my conversations, you'll see at the bottom, from my email address so that this works across all my devices. And I also enable what's called text message forwarding. Okay, so you'll see I have 3 devices enabled here. So that means that if I get a regular text message, I'm going to get those messages delivered to my Mac and my iPad, and I can reply from there. So these are conveniences. These are awesome. That means I don't have to go chase my phone down. I can use the regular keyboard on my Mac. You'll see I have send read receipts enabled here. So this is great. Send as SMS, so it sends as a text message when for some reason the internet isn't working right. And there's a bunch of other options in here. Okay, so all of these things are good. Really nice one is filter unknown senders. So if I turn this on and I don't know you, I don't see the messages. I haven't done that because I'm a consultant and I really do want to see everybody's messages. So there's a lot of options in here that help. Low quality image mode, I've played with it and it broke a bunch of things, so I don't recommend messing with it. So that's messages. It's a very simple, just a few little tweaks you can do. And FaceTime is the video call option, which we did with Tom a moment ago. And again, you're going to go in and you're going to see I have set up, I can be reached in 2 places, and I prefer to have my email address as my caller ID. And that's it. Those are the settings that you should just, you know, have a brief look at to make sure that things are kind of optimum, okay? There's another option that you can do, which is sort of related, but I'm going to show it anyways. The ability to receive phone calls on another device. So let me back up because I was jumping through too fast. So go to your phone settings and go down here to calls on other devices. So this means that when my cell phone rings, my computer will also ring, okay? And I have the other ones turned off because I don't want it to ring on there. I used to have it on. I bought my first iPad many years ago, and I had everything enabled by default. And I took my iPad and went to the bathroom to sit down and do my thing, and my phone rang and my iPad rang and scared the bejesus out of me. So I've had it turned off ever since. Okay, I don't want my iPad to ring. Yeah, it was really a panic moment. I'm like, what is going on? Well, this is what it is. Okay, so I do want it on for some cases. It's not related to messages and FaceTime, but it is a functionality of doing calls. So I thought I would show you guys. So these are the very, very basics. Okay, so let's go back to messages now, and let's jump up one level here. So you'll see a bunch of people that I'm talking to, and you'll notice that they are in chronological order. So Tom is my most recent conversation. Okay, so that's how they go in order. And all of the different apps that you look at are all going to do this. The new conversations go to the top. Okay. One other thing I should mention, if you're using messages on the Mac and you're communicating with people, you can actually do screen sharing. So you can provide tech support through screen sharing on the Mac. And it works pretty much all the time. If for some reason you can't connect, I find if you do a FaceTime call and then do screen sharing, it's awesome. You don't have to worry about using TeamViewer or any one of these other services. But it does require having a Mac at both ends. All right. Tom has an Apple Watch, and he was showing it to me the other day. And I discovered that he can actually answer messages. So when I type at him, he can actually answer messages from his watch. He can also take calls on his watch, whether they're video calls through messages or through other services. So I don't think the watch doesn't have a camera, it just does audio, but he loves the ability to be able to answer a call and then go in through his apartment and actually find his phone, and then it will allow him to switch the call from his watch to his phone or Mac, which is really cool. All right, so I've covered a lot of stuff in like 15 minutes. We've gone through a whole bunch of stuff on messages. So I'm just going to step back for a second. Shayna, Jill, do you guys have questions? Anybody else have questions? I'm watching the chat here. Here's a question. So how do I add voicemail? I only have an iPad, not an iPhone. So if you have messages set up and you're messaging in blue, that's how you know you're messaging between Apple users. Then you'll see this little audio waveform thing in the bottom right-hand corner that I'm tapping on right now. That is that's built in. If you're using text messages, then that's not an option. Voicemail for phone calls is a whole different issue. You'll have to talk to your cell phone provider for that. And it should work on your iPad, but again, it's messages between Apple users, the blue ones. Okay? And you'll see it actually says iMessage at the bottom. If I flip over here, I don't know anybody that I have regular messages with. Yeah, I don't. Everybody I'm dealing with is in blue in iMessage, but you'll see it show up in green when it's a cell phone message. All right. Let me look at my notes here just to make sure I'm covering everything. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, somebody has said that they use text on their cell phone, and why are they unable to send photos? They don't have data. So
yeah, so I covered that one a little bit earlier. The issue there is that to be able to send a photo on your phone, you actually have to turn on data, even though you don't actually have the service. So my wife's phone years ago, we discovered that the hard way. So go into your phone. So if you have an iPhone, I'll just jump through it here. You go to settings, and then you go up to Cellular. And then you need to turn cellular data on. Okay. Once that's on, then you can send a text message with a photo attached. And you won't get charged any extra fees normally. You may have to check with your provider to figure that part out. So we got another question from John here. When I ask for calls on other devices, I get a message that it cannot turn on calls on other devices. So John, my question for you is, do you have an iPad or a Mac that's logged into the same Apple ID as your iPhone? Because that's kind of the requirement. You do, okay. There are going to be issues on your other devices depending on whether they are running the latest operating system, and there may be other ways that it's being blocked, but it should work. Sorry, I can't diagnose that one for you. One really good thing to do, if you go to apple.ca, you go to support, you go to the chat, you can actually talk directly to Apple support. There's also forums there. Yeah, FaceTime and iCloud must be signed into the same Apple ID. That is correct. So go to your 3 devices or 2 or 3 devices and go in. So here's how you get to it on your phone. You go to settings. And at the very top, it has your Apple ID, and you'll see mine is dave@theconsultant.net. So when you go to your Mac and then you go to your iPad, the iPad is in a similar location. The Mac is in your system preferences. You want to make sure that all of your devices are using the same Apple ID. If they're not, it won't work. Okay, so you may have to sign out and sign back in. All 3 share the same. Now, I'm going to mention a little bit about Apple IDs here. People get really confused about these things. iCloud and Apple IDs cause a lot of confusion. In its most simplest, an Apple ID is an email address to use as your identifier for all Apple stuff. Stick to one, it'll make your life easier. It's your Apple ID is the thing that you're going to use for renting movies and buying music in iTunes, for identifying yourself to iCloud, for using the App Store, for locking your device to you. It's all the same parcel and package. So stick to one. I have a client who's got like 3 different Apple IDs, and it's a total disaster because I'm always trying to explain that no, everything uses the same ID. It'll make your life easy. It gives you all these superpowers. So let's go back up here to iCloud. I didn't really want to cover iCloud today, but hey, we're jumping around. So iCloud has a whole bunch of functionality in that it synchronizes information between your devices. Okay, so you'll see I have a whole bunch of these things enabled. So that means that on my phone, my iPad, and my Mac, all of these things are the same. This is the power of the Apple ID, okay, and iCloud. Use it. It's your friend. It's useful. All right. Any more questions before we jump into the next one? Okay, so let's let Tom know that we are going to go and look at Skype. So let's jump over on to Skype. All right, so you can see it's delivered. Okay, and if we wait a couple of seconds, he's going to have read it, but we're not going to wait. We're going to jump out of here and we're going to jump into Skype. So Skype is a Microsoft product, has been around forever. I think I used Skype probably 20 years ago. And it works really, really well. It's a free service. You do need a Microsoft account to use it. But again, you need an account with pretty much everything to use them nowadays. The nice thing with Skype, just like the other ones we're going to mention, is that these don't require Apple devices at both ends. So you can use Skype with people who are on Apple, on Android, on Windows, on Mac, and on probably a whole bunch of other devices as well. So you can see here that I'm logged in and I have a typical list. I've only got one person in it. I cleaned up a lot. So you see we've got Tom in here, and this is Skype. Oops. And so you see a nice little feature there. Tom is typing. I love that because I know that people are paying attention. And you know, greetings from Skype land. All right. So I can do the same here as I can do on messages. I can send emojis. I can hit the little audio button and I can record a little bit of audio and fire it off to Tom. I can take a photograph. Yeah, Skype would allow. Yes, you're allowed to take a picture. Here's my awesome tripod. Let's send that to Tom. So this is identical to what we did in messages. All right, let's go up here and oh, you'll see he's active. So he's actually logged into, oh, hi dog. She's quiet. This is unusual for the dog. And let's jump in and do a Skype call. Hey, Tom, there's no video on your device. Oh, there you go. Yes. So we've been having a lot of fun. We've gone through messages, we've gone through settings, we got sidetracked and talked about Apple IDs for a little while, had a couple of questions. Yeah. So are you enjoying your morning? Quiet Monday morning without us? Is this a different kind of Zoom fatigue? Thank you, Tom. We're gonna jump off here and go on to the next one. Bye. So that was Skype. And as you can see, it's very much similar to Apple Messages. It has very much similar functionality. One of the really nice things that you can do with Skype that is not a Messages FaceTime thing is you can actually purchase credits, I think they are, to make phone calls through Skype. So one of my clients, for example, when they were in, I think they were in Spain or Mexico, because I remember they were speaking Spanish, they wanted to make calls to Canada to talk to their kids. So they were able to purchase credits and then go into this phone option. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go into the phone option and call overseas at a very cheap rate. So every service, my point being, is every service has different options available to it. All right, so let's go back up here to Tom. We can do searches in here. We can look for people. We can add people. We can make calls. We can add people to our contacts. We can synchronize our contacts. All of these functions are identical amongst all the services. So make sure that you keep your contacts up to date on your device. It will synchronize across all your devices and it'll be very useful. So I got a quick question from Debbie. Do you need data to use Skype? The short answer is no, but the long answer is yes, if you want to use Skype when you're not on Wi-Fi. Okay, Apple and all of the services work just on plain old Wi-Fi. So you'll see on my phone in the very, very top left-hand corner, got the little pizza wedge for Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm on Wi-Fi. It's basically free because I pay the monthly service. But if I was not on Wi-Fi, I can actually choose. So let's jump out of here. So if you go into settings, and let's go back up to cellular. So I have my cellular data turned on, and I can scroll down here, and I'm going slowly so you guys don't get seasick. And you'll see I have certain applications turned on, and I have Skype turned off. So I don't want to be making Skype calls over cellular. I don't want to be making Google Hangouts calls over cellular, but I do want to make FaceTime calls over cellular. This is really up to you, okay? Each one of these services has a certain amount of stuff that it's used in. I don't know when I've last reset current period. So this is about 5 or 6 months worth of data usage. So I could go in, for example, and say, I don't want Reddit when I'm on cellular data. You just choose whichever ones you want. You can turn it on and off while you're on cellular data. The big one that you do want to turn off, if you have, where is it here? Television, Netflix. I don't have Netflix in here. YouTube. Don't let those things run on cellular data. You will get a big surprise in your bill at the end of the month. I tell you that from experience. I took my kids to a restaurant years ago and they were bored, so I let them play on the iPad, which I connected to my phone over cellular. And then I went home and I watched a movie, and that used 90% of my monthly bandwidth in an hour and a half. It was a great movie. I watched a Western. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I started getting all these warnings right at the end of the movie. You have used 90%. And I'm like, what am I doing? So you have to keep an eye out for those things. Okay. But in short, Debbie, I do have Safari turned on. Turning Safari off in cellular to avoid getting tons of ads doesn't work that way. It's the other way around. So if you are out and you need to look something up in Safari, you know, a restaurant or a location or any of that kind of stuff, then you are just going to have to deal with what comes up, okay? You're never going to get any ads just because it's on. It doesn't work that way. It's on demand. You load a web page while you're out in the street and you're not on Wi-Fi. It's you that decided it. So you can choose to turn it on and off. All right, so we've done a very brief overview of Skype. Let's jump into, let's see what's going on here. Oh, thumbs up, okay. So Google Hangouts, okay. So I'm just gonna send Tom a quick message here, Hangouts. So Google Hangouts is Google's product for audio and video chat. You need a Google account to be able to use it, but those again are available for free. Google has Google Hangouts, Google Meet, Google Duo, Google something or what's it other. They have a whole bunch of services. They all basically do the same thing. So here you can see my list of conversations, and I'm going to message Tom. Hello from Google Land. Google Land. Okay. Exactly the same as Skype. Exactly the same as messages. We send messages, and now we're waiting for Tom to respond. I can send photos in here. I can send, I don't even know what these things are. Let's send a burger. That looks yummy. Okay. I don't know what these things are. I'll send my photos. Don't bother me. So same typical thing that we can do from all the other services. Let's call Tom and just say hi. Hello, hello. I don't know if I've turned things on or off. I don't hear you. But that's probably me having the volume wrong, or who knows. Anyhow, hi from Google land. So I'm going to hang up on you here. So this, again, it's all of the services so far are identical. Okay, it's important to remember that whatever the folks are going to, you're going to communicate with, whatever they have, use it. Okay. I've got a question here. How do I get rid of unwanted promotional stuff? Most programs work with cookies. Okay, so promotional stuff, advertising, it's part of the game. There's a bunch of services that you can run on your device or elsewhere to block ads. I won't get into that today. Feel free to join the ByMUG email list and we can discuss it there. Cookies, don't delete them. These are worth keeping. It's what helps identify you when you're working with a website, and they remember who you are when you come back. That's why you can go to Amazon and then the next time you go, they're like, hey, Dave, how's it going? They know you. That's what cookies are all about. They're not giving away any information. So don't waste your time worrying about cookies. All right. So we've looked at Google Hangouts, we've looked at Skype. Anybody have questions about either of these? I can go through them again. Let me go. So the last one is Zoom. I don't know if I can actually join a meeting as a participant from Zoom. Let me, here, I know what we'll do. We'll say, hey, Tom. Hey, Tom, send me a Zoom link. Join from my iPhone. So just to give another sort of look at one more app here. So Zoom, as everybody knows, has become super crazy popular recently due to the COVID crisis and some very swift promotion on their part. Zoom has a very, I will say, good and bad reputation for security and other things. I have to give them credit that they have fixed things up, so it's a lot better than it was before. But now everybody's Zooming. We all have Zoom fatigue, and it's I think it's on par for the course that this is what we're going to be stuck with in the future, is all of these video meetings, because we're all working from home. So it's asking me what do I want to use, and I'm going to get out of the backlight here. Always join with video. Of course I want video. Okay. Yes, you can have access to my microphone. Yes, you can send me notifications. Yes, you can call over the internet. Unmute. And there we go. Hi, Tom. And for some reason, I still don't hear you. I don't know. I wonder if it's something to do with the sharing that I'm doing through the Mac. It worked on FaceTime. It doesn't work now, but
David, when it comes up, there's a mute sign on. I don't know if it's on your end or on his end.
Yeah, I did unmute, so you'll see that I am not muted. Yeah, it's kind of odd. Yeah, system. Oh, here, let's switch to iPhone. Say hi, Tom. Yeah, I don't know. My audio is weird in Zoom. That's okay. But as you guys can see, I guess I don't have rotate enabled here. This is a typical Zoom meeting. I mean, we can go in, we can look at the participants. We can go into the chat option. It's pretty much the same as all the other services we've looked at. Gonna hang up on you, Tom. See you later. You can start sending me messages about things that people should be asking questions, and put you to work. Bye. All right, leave meeting. Okay. Yeah, note that you don't need to be you don't need to have an account to use Zoom, which is actually really nice. You can just click a Zoom link and join the meeting. If you sign in, that's usually because you have an account and you are the one who is running the meetings. All right, let's put the phone down. All right, so that's pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. So I've got a question here: how to access cultural events on Facebook? I got to be honest, I don't use Facebook, but I'm gonna have to guess that you go on to Facebook, find the event that you want to participate in, and if it's a Facebook Live, for example, just hit play, and then you're in the meeting. I don't know that Facebook has two-way events. Maybe they have chat, but again, you can do that in Safari. You can do that in the Facetime app in iOS, but I don't have it installed. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm being asked to turn on the printer. So what have I missed? Now I should mention as well that there are a whole bunch of other applications on iOS. You know, I have here, for example, whoops, can't use the mouse. I've got to use my thing here. So I have WhatsApp, I have Signal. These are just other applications provided by other providers. So WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. Signal is a standalone service. And I'll just pop it open so you can see it. But, you know, this is Signal. It's again typical. Here you go, child. He's doing his math homework. So this is a typical, again, another application. If I go into WhatsApp, it's exactly the same. There's chat messages and you can do video calls in it. So there's no need to stick to one device. If people have questions, can they email us? Yes, you can send email to info@bymug.ca, bymug.ca. But I'm going to ask that when you do email us, I'm going to ask if you want to join our mailing list. Because although Tom and I do have a tendency to answer any questions that anybody sends us, we much prefer that you're participating in a group with all of the other folks in ByMUG, because there's a lot of really smart people with a lot of experience out there. Okay, so do send us an email if you wish. Also, I have to say that this whole session is being recorded. So Tom has a comment, and I think it's a very appropriate, very appropriate one for this time. When we get together and have family video chats, at the very beginning of COVID, we all talked about how we were doing. But we're now skipping that question very deliberately. We don't talk about it anymore. Everything is basically the same. So, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning, Tom has given everybody homework. They have a theme that they follow, talking about significant memories from childhood, music or songs that you're fond of, movies that changed your life, books that, you know, had a profound impact on you. All of these things make a huge difference. And they make the meetings a lot more fun. I should mention, how do you actually get people into these systems? So messages, you get people in by adding them to your contacts. Zoom, you get people into meetings by creating a meeting and sending them a link. Skype and Google Hangouts and all the other services, you add people in by knowing their address. So a Skype address is a different thing than a Hangouts address. Again, you need to contact the people that you want to meet with and find out, so Shayna, hi Shayna.
Hi, I'm back.
So if I wanted to have a Skype meeting with Shayna, I would send her an email and say, hey Shayna, what's your Skype address? And then I have to plug it in at my end so that we can communicate with each other. Same thing with Google Hangouts and all the other services I was demonstrating. Do you got any questions, Shayna?
No, I just want to thank you and Tom remotely very much for this terrific presentation, and tell everybody that this is the last Tech Cafe for the summer.
Okay.
So please enjoy your summer and come back again in September when we'll have a new schedule of interesting talks in our Tech Cafe. And David and I hope Tom will be back again. Details will soon be available on our website at www.biblioottawalibrary.ca. And thank you all for attending today's presentation, and goodbye for now.